my name is Jasmine Jones, and I am a licensed clinical social worker, and you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. And today we are watching Abbott Elementary Season 4, Episode 10, Testing. How y'all doing? And we are sipping on Kahlua, strawberry Bacardi, some eggnog alcohol, and oat milk. Yes. How you doing? This episode was interesting. We obviously see that Janine still got anxiety, and she's still putting stuff on other people, and she's still thinking that people, especially children, should think and feel the same way she does. And this is just another learning experience for her to be like, chill out, girl. And then Mr. Johnson, he had he had to train a new janitor person. And at the end, he told him he's the dude from that one show off of Adult Swim. I forgot, but he told him that he was sent there to replace him. And then what also happened too that got me questioning, Barbara, because Janine was hounding her all day, so her and Melissa went to the nail shop. And there's this strike going on with the bus system, and so Melissa got distracted from what Barbara was trying to say to her. But before she got distracted, Barbara was trying to tell her, ask her a question about retirement and what she thinks about it, right? And I'm thinking that Mr. Johnson and Barbara, the actors that play them, are the oldest folks on the show. And it's been 4 years. So I'm just are they hinting that these folks are going to be leaving at the end of the season? And I try to understand, because it takes athleticism to be an actor. You working 12, 14, 15, 16-hour days and shit. Sometimes doing the same scene 52 different times and shit. And don't be in no action movie or some thriller or some shit where you got to be harnessed up flying everywhere. So I get it. You can't do that shit forever and shit unless you're just doing it for fun. That's why I don't care if this gets popular or not, because it's fun to just do art for fun and not have to be bothered by people's expectations and deadlines and responsibilities and all this other stuff. You just do it for fun just because it makes you feel good. I like talking about movies and psychology. It makes me feel good. I like doing photography, and I can do it on my own time in my own way without having to worry about too much what other people got to say about it, and it's nice. But when you have to monetize it and do it on other people's deadlines and shit like that, it kind of sort of doesn't become, it's not purely your art anymore. It's art based off of other people's suggestions and feelings. And I've noticed when I just do art based off of me solely, that's when I create the best shit. Not that I won't take critiques or suggestions. I'll take it, but I may or may not listen to it. I'll be like, oh, okay, that's nice. And then I'll keep going back and doing the same thing that I'm doing. Because I've made the best art by just being myself and just, pouring into my own shit and having a good time and not worrying about what other people think. So unless you're doing art like that and you just do it for the rest of your life like that, it's exhausting to have to be told what to do and also be creative at the same time. And especially when you're older and stuff, it's I had to learn, there's shit that happens to your body as you get older that you will subconsciously adjust yourself to and not realize it. Before I started going to yoga every week, I didn't realize that I was adjusting myself to putting my shoes on, because bending over and tying my shoes for too long made me lightheaded and out of breath. And then one day, after about 6 months of going to yoga twice a week, I was bending over and tying my shoes, and I was like, oh, look at me tying this, and girl, look at me doing stuff. So I realized then at that point that, I have to exercise for the rest of my life in order to keep my joints and ligaments and shit smooth enough for me to do the basic shit. When I was a kid, and my grandmother, she was really into her skincare and her body care, and I think that's where I got it from too. Perfumes. She was the only person I knew that had a 10-20 step skincare routine before I even saw them Koreans on the thing. Okay. And I think my mom kind of copied her too, because for a little bit she was having her own extensive skincare routine, and I would just watch them, and I would just be like, okay, this is interesting. But as my grandmother got older, she had Alzheimer's too, but it didn't hit real bad until like she got it at like 70, early 70s. There were signs of forgetfulness, but she was pretty spry and pretty regular only until about like 85, 86 and shit like that. But I noticed that when like she died in her 90s. So but I noticed that when she got into like her 80s, she just developed this smell. And I was just like, why does she smell? Like, she be taking. And then, like, I really thought that she just had poor hygiene or some shit like that, or just developed out of nowhere. But in reality, partially, it may have been Alzheimer's. But also, in reality, when I learned that bending over, I could do that, I started to think about, like, old people, and I was just like, a lot of old people be smelling like baby powder and BO and shit. And I'm wondering if it gets harder to take showers and shit. Like, and then I really was mindful when I was in the shower one time after that situation. I was just like, I literally put my whole leg up on the wall like this just to shave and wash my nether parts. Like, I'm in there flexible and shit. It don't hurt. That's just me. And I'm just like, it takes athleticism to bathe yourself and get your arm to go all the way back there and between there and in the back of you and doing all of that. And like, when you get older, the athletic, just to do simple shit. I'm not even talking about like losing weight or not, just having the flexibility and athleticism to do simple shit becomes harder. So I could not imagine them two older people on that set 12, 15, 16-hour days and not feeling tired and exhausted more so than the rest of the people on the set, because your shit just, gets older as you get older and stuff. So I can imagine, I can imagine that they would probably like end their tenure on this show pretty soon, just because, like I said, it's exhausting and they're older. And to be step to it to other people's creative stuff while still trying to insert your creativity into a thing too, it's exhausting. And so I would understand if they left the show, because I think she even said she didn't expect this show to last this long. It's been 4 years. She didn't expect this show to last this long. And so as the time has gone on, the older folks on the show have just gotten older. And, I get it, but it would be so sad. I would be so, it's like every time I see Denzel and he just looks older and I'm just like, and then he says he's going to retire after he does another like 5 or 6 movies and shit. And I'm just like, you can retire now. Like, you look like you just need to be on a beach house, on a beach somewhere, just relaxing and chilling out for the rest of your days. You do, because no, if I wake up one morning and see that he's gone on the shade room, I'm gonna be upset. There's only a few actors and actresses that I would legitly be upset about and cry over and shit. And that nigga is one of them. So every time I see him, I'm just like, why are you still working? Like, that one movie, like Gladiator, looked like, from the previews, because I didn't watch it because, I don't know, I just didn't watch the movie. That one movie, Gladiator, looked like it was a big budget and you had to be walking around yelling and screaming and doing all this random shit. That's a lot of athleticism. No, like, as I've gotten older, I realize even the smallest little, like, I pulled something in my shoulder in October when I was at this yoga thing, right? And I wasn't even doing nothing. We was like waiting in between one thing and waiting for the next thing to start. So it was chilling. I was chilling on the floor on my stomach, laid like this with my head on my hands, right? And I felt it stretching, but I was just like, well, maybe that's good. Maybe like it'll get real deep stretch and shit. Girl, my shoulder still hurts to this. It only started like not hurting for me to go like this, like to lift my arm up and go like this, like 2 weeks ago. And I was just like, what the fuck? I went to the chiropractor, they rubbed it out, it felt better, and they been telling me to do these little massage exercises and shit, and it helps, but it's just like, Why did it take from October to fucking January for me to go like this? Like for whatever ligament this is in my shoulder that is able to lift my arm up and just move it forward like this. Whatever that is. But I can't like lift up my backpack still and do like this. That still hurt. So that's when I realized like, oh no, your body's sensitive and it's taking almost 6 months and shit, 4 or 5 months or shit for something to heal after I didn't even barely do nothing but just stretch it out wrong when I was laying on my arm. Oh, and so, no, well, you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your body. You got to take care of yourself because, the smallest thing. Like, if you ain't got the flexibility to tie your fucking shoe, nigga, like, that shit is horrible. And then your body adjusts to the ways that you, like, that you have adjusted yourself in order to be able to tie your shoe and shit. Like, no, I don't want to adjust to having to tie my shoe and be huffing and puffing and I don't want to do all that. That's why I've been telling folks, you don't work out to look a certain way. I mean, you can if you want to, but no, you work out to keep your body and your joints and your muscles flexible enough so you can put your foot up on the wall in the shower and scrub your nether parts. That's what you work out for, because that shit goes away as you get older, and that's why you got a lot of older people that are smelly. Because it's not that they don't bathe. Maybe the white folks. Let me shut. That's a cultural thing. But for the ones that aren't white, are the white ones that do bathe and have a history of good hygiene. When you get older and you just notice the old folks around you smell like, piss or like baby powder and BO and shit. 9 times out of 10, it's not because they have poor hygiene. It's because they don't have the flexibility in their joints and ligaments anymore to bathe as thoroughly when they're in the shower. They just have enough to let the water and the soap probably run down their body or some shit, like they're a strand of hair and they washing their hair. So I can't feel bad about it. I can't be mad about it no more. I can't, because now I'm experiencing little shit that I'm scared to hurt myself, because this shit's been hurting since October, nigga. I'm like, what if I fall and like break a bone and shit? Like, it's gonna take however many, man, what if it's gonna take years for it to heal back properly and shit. That's why I need to make sure the muscle around the bone is strong enough, because that's the flexibility that keeps your shit from fucking up. That's why I wear the barefoot shoes and shit, because no, nigga, I'm not about to be prancing around and tripping. No, I got muscles in my feet and ankles and calves that are so toned right now from walking in barefoot shoes. I barely ever trip anymore because these little muscles be catching me and shit. And I'm just like, that's what it's for. That's what it's for. So get you a good exercise routine that you enjoy, that includes something in it that involves stretching and flexibility, because that's what's going to build up the joints and ligaments. That's the important part and shit, and the muscles and shit around the joints and ligaments. And just, find something that you enjoy and do that shit on a regular basis, at least once or twice a week for at least 30 minutes to an hour, so you too can put your foot up on the wall like this and wash your nethers in the shower when you're 85. Because I swear, folks, I'm not about to be up in here stinking at 85. I'm not. I don't care. I'm not. And I'm just walking around sad about it and wrinkly skinned and gross and covered in baby powder. Just, oh my God, it hurts to bathe and shit. And it's so miserable. My body, my skin is gross. And just start now. Just start now with a good routine that keeps you flexible, because you will regret it later on. You will. I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care if you fat, skinny. It ain't even about losing weight. It's about keeping your joints and your ligaments flexible so you can do basic fucking shit. And so, yeah, if I was that age, I would be tired of walking around and for 12, 15, 16 hours on a set with these bright ass lights in my face all the time. being made to repeat shit over and over again. Like, this woman dunked her head in a nasty bucket of water and apples, and I'm sure they had to do a few takes of that. I hope not. I really hope not. She don't deserve that. Nobody does. But, no, like, I get it, but I'll be sad. I'll be sad. Like, half of me will be sad. Half of me will be like, I guess if you want to replace Mr. Johnson with the Eric Andre nigga. See, I remember the name of the show. I didn't watch it because that's not my type of comedy. That's not, I mean, it can be when I'm really, really inebriated, but like, it's when I'm not, it just be, after a while, just be annoying. And I don't know. That's just a me thing. Other people like it. He's really popular and famous, so I can just have a me thing and leave it at that. That doesn't mean I'm mean or messed up. It just means that that's not my cup of tea in comedy. Anyway, so let's get back to the story. I went on a tangent about being old and joints and ligaments and shit, but I think it's important to know these things because I wasn't really clocking this shit until I started working out on a consistent basis and actually seeing the difference. Like, I can squat and get the dishes out of the dishwasher now, and my knees don't pop. It's magic. Like, you can just, as long as you just maintain this. Do I want to work out every week, twice a week, for the rest of my fucking life? Hell motherfucking no. But, if I don't, then I'm not going to be able to put my leg up on the wall like this and clean my nethers when I'm 85. I don't care what you're talking about. It's always going to go back to that. Because that's the part that needs to be cleaned the most. Okay? Anyway, so Janina's on here, and it's testing season, and they give the second graders this pre-test before they give them, like, the real test in third grade, right? And so she's excited because she thinks they all passed the test or whatever, or most of them did. She scans the test, and then she's like, oh, they didn't pass. Oh, my gosh, what's going on? And so she's trying to ask everybody, what are their test-taking things that they do? And then she came up with this weird-ass theory about Melissa because Melissa's class passed the test. And she was just like, well, maybe, maybe you taught them with your white people-ness and they learned in a white people way, and that's why your kids pass. And did you just call yourself stupid? No, because I'm like, girl, you standing up here calling yourself, and Gregory over there rolling his eyes. And I'm just like, Gregory, get your girl. She just called herself stupid. She just said that she's not as smart she doesn't teach as smartly as the white folks. And I'm just like, what's going on, girl? Like, we're spiraling. That's fucking weird and shit. Like, that literally only happens in like a white supremacy space where we are surrounded by white supremacist rhetoric on a regular basis, and then we start to take that in and attach it to our individuality and believe this white supremacy rhetoric of power and control, and then start treating other people like that. That's the only time something like that happens. Not in no all black school with mostly black teachers and all black students with one white student. Doesn't tend to. I mean, there's some black schools that, just like when Molly joined that law firm and she thought she was going to be buddy-buddy with everybody, and everybody was looking at her crazy and insecure. But for the most part, if it's a black space or it's a space of color, you ain't going to necessarily see that toxic white supremacy rhetoric going on in that space. Maybe at the district, maybe they got that going on because they don't want to pay people nothing or fund anything in these schools. Power and control. But no, girl, you just called yourself stupid. So she's spiraling. She's crashing out and shit, trying to figure out how to get these kids to pass the test. So she decides to change everything in the classroom, make sure she gives a test. So she decides to give the test again, and then she wants to get a test early in the morning when the kids first get there and make sure the temperature's perfect and all this other random shit. And they still didn't pass the test. And I'm just like, girl, it's a practice test and shit. Melissa's trying to copy Allen Iverson, but like, she was doing it in a way where she was like trying to sound AAVE, and it wasn't. I think that was the biggest thing about it, that it wasn't Melissa, and she tried to do it twice, and I was like, it's okay, girl, you don't have to. And the tone of voice that he had, and the little accent, AAVE accent he was saying that in, like, you don't have to mimic that. You don't you don't even have to say that statement, honey, because obviously they didn't know. And if they did know, they looking at you crazy because you trying to sound like you black and it's not. So she's trying to tell her it's just practice, girl. Like, why are you making a big deal out of this? But she gives the test a second time. They mostly fail a second time. And so now she's crashing out. So she talks to Ava, and she's been talking to Barbara, and like they basically like Barbara and Melissa. That's who she talks to. Barbara and Melissa basically tell her, like, because she's so in tune with following the way the way that she wants to do it. And they're telling her, like, no, you gotta change shit up, girl. Like, you can't just you gotta change. In order to be ready, you gotta give up control a little bit and allow the environment to change around you. And when the switch up happens, you switch up too, because nothing in this world is permanent. Everything in this world, we lose 100-some million cells a day in our bodies. By the time we die, the cells that we were born with are already gonna be gone. Like, this is a world of consistent change, continuous change over and over again. That's why, like, when you use certain hair products or body products over time, that shit might stop working because your body has adjusted to it. Just like bacteria in your body will adjust to antibiotics and not work anymore and shit like that, and now you got some serious disease going on because the antibiotics aren't working. So if that happens just naturally in nature and shit, why wouldn't that happen in a social environment like a school where shit can just switch up one year and you got a bunch of kids that cannot learn how to do word problems and whatever else you teaching them in the way that you usually teach it? So she talks to them and they give her good advice, and she goes and she teaches the kids how to do the word problems more visually, and then she wants to give them a third test. And I'm just like, and Ava's looking at her just like, girl, you need to calm the fuck down. This is a practice test. These are second graders. Why are you forcing these second graders to take this test 3 times this week? You are stressing these kids out. I think by the second time, these kids were stressed out because these are second graders, little kids. When you are re-giving them something that they already did, their brain is automatically going to go to, am I not good enough? Am I stupid? Because unless a kid has a lot of confidence, that's just usually what happens, because they're kids. They're new in the world. So everything is from their own point of view. So they're going to start asking themselves questions and shit like, am I not smart? Why does Miss Teeks keep giving me this test? And I'm just like, girl, see how your anxiety can go to therapy. Go to therapy. And then another thing, Jacob and this little black boy in his class. So Jacob has a little boy in his class, right? Boy is really just like dissociated most of the time. Monotone voice, very polite and stuff, but like he has a lot of absences. Jacob tries to get him to join a bunch of after school programs, but I don't even ask the child what he likes. He's all like, he's a puzzle that I need to solve. First of all, he's not a puzzle, he's a person. No, because I know, like, you know, people will use that as a metaphor, like, as, oh, there's a puzzle, but you're doing this white savior thing. So when you say it, it sounds more like you're objectifying this child as a puzzle you need to solve rather than as a person that's like, it seems like he's going through some shit. And you need to like step back a little bit and like really talk to him first before first you put him in a podcast club. He don't like talking and he don't want to be in there, but he just sat in there because, you know, Mr. Jacob put him in there and shit, and he's not a bad kid that's going to sit up in there and cuss Mr. Jacob out. And then he tries to put him in the step dancing class and with Ava, and Ava's just looking at Jacob like he don't even look like he enjoys this. Like he's in there dancing, trying, but like his face is not there. And then come to find out, Ava tells him like his dad is also looking like he's going through some shit and stressed out all the time every time he comes to the school. And then Ava asks him, she's like, did you ask him what he likes? And of course, Jacob's like, no, of course you didn't, honey. You saw him as being a sad black child, and you immediately was like, I can fix this. Like, no, nigga, like, it doesn't mean don't help the child, but like your focus is on the end result of him being happy. You skipping the steps that gets to happiness. You skipping some steps, love. So he asked this child, and the child's just like, I like quietness. I like being outside. I like nature. He just likes to be chill and stuff. And we're not even going to rule out, like, he could be neurodivergent and, like, just have a monotone voice and flat affect, flat features on his face and stuff and be perfectly fine. But, like, I don't think so, because he had the baggy, dark circle eyes of somebody that is highly stressed out, and he was sounding sad and stuff. So he might be depressed. There might be some shit going on at home he ain't talking about. But, like, he decides to put him in Eddie's garden gnomes, garden goofballs and shit. And so he's in there and he's getting it done, and Eddie thinks he likes it and stuff, and but you can still see that he's sad in the face. So my first thought was like, why is there no school-based therapist coming in to work with this child who appears to be sad? Why is that not the first thing to go to, instead of putting him in all these after-school programs and playing bombardment with his emotions? No, because especially when people are depressed, or they look like they could be depressed, you don't play bombardment with depressed people and just keep throwing shit at them that you think will make them happy. It's going to overstimulate them, overwhelm them, and that's when bad things happen. And so he's a nice kid. He's going to go along with these things Jacob is trying to do, but it doesn't look like it's helping him. It just looks like, oh, this is something to do while, after school. And over time, it could eventually help him, and he might open up and stuff like that to the teachers and things like that. But even then, whatever's going on with him, he needs to see a therapist. Where are the school-based? Do they got school-based therapists in Philadelphia? Why are there no school-based therapists contracted with the district of this school so that they could just send an application out for this child and have a school-based therapist come in and talk to him about whatever's going on with him and things like that? That's, and maybe because it's like a black school or whatever, and like maybe a lot of the parents ain't trying to go for it, but for every 50 kids whose parents ain't gonna go for it, there's gonna be at least one kid whose parent is, and it's better to have the one kid than no kid. But whatever. We're still not talking about that. We're letting friendships and experiences heal us from trauma, even though technically Janine's still anxious to the point where she tries to control people around her. And there's still some kids in there that got some sadnesses and shit going on, and Jacob's next step is to put them in play bombardment with their emotions and shit, instead of just letting them chill out. Maybe you should just let him come to, I would have liked it better if Jacob had just let him come and sit in his class for lunch. Like, that's how you do that. You just slowly move them into like a situation where they can feel comfortable and safe enough to talk. And then you like wait until they open up and talk to you. You don't play bombardment and try to force them to talk or try to force them to be in these groups and situations and shit that they probably don't have the emotional or physical energy to be in. But whatever, nigga. Like, he got him in the garden goofballs. That child still ain't happy, but whatever. Need some therapists in this motherfucker. What's going on? And what else happened? I already talked about Mr. Johnson, so he might be leaving. I don't know. And then Barbara might lead the show, and Melissa still looks, spry and stuff. She might lead the show too. We gonna lose people. I was sad. And the example I used earlier of like, that was just an example of like when you get old and how like if you don't work out, like what kind of things that can affect it, on a daily basis. That in no way, shape, or form am I saying that every old person stinks or they're dirty or anything like that. I'm just saying that I've noticed that a lot of old people that I've walked by and smelled their walk by air, sometimes they have a smell. And now I learn why, for the most part, it's because they're not as flexible and stuff in the shower. And that's why you need to be on your P's and Q's about working out and being flexible and shit, because it's the basic things. You can't even do the basic things anymore when your joints are stiff and your muscles are stiff and your shit is all fucked up, is all I'm saying. Getting out the car. That's why I like some of them old people got to put their shoes and socks on with that shoes and socks stick thing that you put your feet in, because they can't bend over and put their shoes on no more and shit. all of that shit is preventable. You just have to have the motivation to work out at least twice a week and doing some flexible shit like forever, like literally forever. And a lot of people don't have it. A lot of people don't have it. They got mental health issues. They got shit going on and they don't have the motivation. But then my motivation is I'm not going to be a smelly 85-year-old woman because it's too hard to take a shower and shower properly. I don't care. Oh, you got old people falling in the shower because they ain't got a good grip in their feet and shit and their ankles. Like, no, I'm not about to be that. I don't care. I'm about to be like that 70-something-year-old woman that was out there lifting weights and shit and still spry and shit. And, you know, I'm not going to be muscular like that, though. I just need my joints and ligaments to be acting right. But, you know, working all day for 12 hours and you, like, in your 60s and shit like that, your 50s and shit like that. 50 is still young, but like for your body, for your body age and stuff, for doing flexible shit, unless you work out a lot. 50 is old for your body, you know, unless you work out a lot, unless you like are constantly doing stuff to stay flexible and shit. But a lot of people aren't in their 50s. A lot of people are not working out and doing stuff to stay flexible. So if you let that shit ride from your 30s to your 50s, like your shit gonna be feeling like you in your 70s and 80s by the time you 50. So yeah. But nah, I get why they would leave the show. I'm sad though. I'm sad. That makes me sad. But I get it though. Ain't nobody trying to work that hard every day just to make art. Like, I do art in spurts and enjoy the little spurts that I have where I do art. I don't do art like 12, 15, 16 hours. A girl, that you would hate anything that you had to do for 12, 15, 16 hours a day for however many months. Like, I don't know, sitcoms, they be filming it sometimes like the same week. So they got a regular work week like everybody else do and shit. Like, and so you got me fucked up. Even right now, like, I wouldn't want to be sitting on nobody's set for 12, 15 hours. I got scoliosis and shit. I can barely stand in line at Disneyland for too long before my shit start acting up and I need to sit down and lay down and get in my adjustable bed and take a nap. Yes, I do have an adjustable bed. It's a magical piece of machinery. It just lets you hover in this nice space, and I wake up and my back and hip don't hurt now anymore when I get up out the bed. It's magical. It's a girl. Before I had that adjustable mattress, I was getting up and my whole hip would be inflamed and my back would be all fucked up and shit. I would hate getting up in the morning and shit. Now I don't feel nothing. I'm just floating on this adjustable situation and it's magical. Everyone needs an adjustable bed if you can afford it. I got it on credit. I paid that shit off and stuff, but like, I'm just saying, and you could do it too if you got decent credit and shit. Nigga, like, what? No, like, I thought all this stuff was for old people and shit, like when I was young. Oh, I was a teenager and in my 20s and shit. My grandmother, you know, like, I grew up with old people. Like, my grandmother came over here in like 1950s, 40s with the Great Migration and shit to California. And like, all my aunts and uncles was like at least in their 50s. They were in their 50s in the 90s. And like, so I was like a kid in elementary school in the 90s and shit. So everybody around me was old. And I think I was like the youngest in the 90s before my other cousins was born and shit. Like, so everybody around me was old to me. And so I done seen it all, nigga. Like, I seen niggas with walkers. I seen niggas with funguses in their toes, fucked up backs, arthritis in their back and their knee and shit, and having to adjust and move around with shit. That shit scared the shit out of me until I got old enough to realize that shit's avoidable. We were just like poor and shit. A little, like, we weren't poor, but we didn't have enough money to do the consistent routines that I like to do, which is go to the chiropractor once a month and shit. And, you know, even going to the gym was iffy. We didn't have YouTube back then, so we couldn't just we could pop in a cassette tape, but the motivation it takes to do that shit at home by yourself is a lot. And I didn't see a lot of that at the house. My mom went to the gym for a little bit, but I think that got a little too expensive because she stopped going or something. So either she lost motivation, it got too expensive, or it was a mixture of both. But yeah, so like I grew up watching people age rapidly. And like my mom, when she was in her 40s, was walking around with a fucking cane and a walker sometimes when her arthritis in her knee and her back flared up and shit like that. And I was just like, oh, this is my fate. I guess this is what happens to your body when you get old. It just falls the fuck apart. Like you got to you about 40, and then and then when I became an adult and could afford to do shit, I was like, oh, you don't have to. Oh, there's toenail fungus stuff that you can buy off of Amazon and shit, and you don't. They didn't have to have the toe fungus, the toenail fungus and shit. I just have to go to yoga twice a week and to be flexible enough to live. Okay, go to chiropractor once a month. Okay, and then that lowers the chances of you developing some joint and ligament and bone shit. I tell you what, it does. Cause I really thought like I have scoliosis since I was young and didn't know it until my chiropractor told me a few years ago. So I really was walking around limping a lot of the time. My shit would flare up and my hip would feel like somebody hit me in the hip with a fucking bat. And that shit was fucked up, and I would just be walking around hunched over, limping around like, and I was just like, well, maybe this is normal. Maybe this is. Girl, it wasn't. It wasn't. And I'm glad that I maintained doing the maintenance necessary to keep that shit at a low. So I keep putting my foot up on the wall in the shower and cleaning my nether parts. Yes, God. But yeah, I don't think I missed anything. Did I? Oh, we got Shamar Mar on this bitch. We got the young Shamar Mar. Now, see, I had to really like think about this because me in that situation where he's coming by and he keeps like slyly saying like, "You need anything else?" I would have been clueless to the fact that he was flirting with me. But Ava is aware that he's flirting with her, and at first I was just like, if you're aware of it, like he ain't even asked you out on a date, girl. Like, but I think like you see, like socially, like cues and stuff, I had to think about it, and I was like, oh, she's supposed to like respond back with like, I don't know what you trying to help me with. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what I was like, oh, and then he asked you out on the date and shit, but she not responding back like that. So he's just looking at her like, oh, this bitch. So now he doesn't even want to ask her out a date. And I was like, oh, okay. Because in my head, I was like, well, he's not asking her out. Why would she like move forward with anything with this nigga if he not? Because for me personally, I have retrofitted my mind to not assume that a nigga likes me. My poor social cues was at the other extreme when I was in my teenage years and in my 20s and shit. Just a glance my way, I thought you was gonna be my husband. Like he's looking at me, he likes me. Oh my. And it always turned out shit. Now I do not assume at all, not even a little bit. Like literally my brain will, like you say some nice shit to me, my brain will be like, oh, he's so nice, look at like literally if that nigga came up to me and was like, you need anything else, with that little raspy shit in his voice, my brain would literally be like, oh, he's so nice. Look, he got a little speech impediment and shit. Look at him with his speech impediment. He's so nice. And then I would just move on. I don't do prolonged eye contact. I don't flirt back because I'm not aware that I'm being flirted with. I only do upfront and in your face, I like you. Will you go out with me on a date? That's all I do. That's all I can handle. Because I have been traumatized by assuming over the smallest things for a long time, to the point where I am not assuming unless you clearly say to me you want to date me and you are also in the criteria of what I'm attracted to, then I'm not going to know. I'm not going to know. No, I'm not. Especially if I'm doing something else and I'm half paying attention to you, which means I'm mostly paying attention to what I'm doing. I will have absolutely no clue that you're flirting with me. And the nigga's feelings be hurt and shit. Like his feelings was hurt when she was all like, oh no. Like when he gave her a compliment, said she was pretty, and she was like, oh. And his feelings was hurt and shit. Like literally, I would just, if you told me I was pretty, I'd be like, oh, thank you. And then I'd turn back around and keep reading the book I was reading. I'm not gonna give you a fucked up face. Like, it was just a compliment. Um, and then she's asking like Gregory and Janine, like, what's it like to date a poor? And then she tells Gregory, like, if I gave you a raise of $15,000, say what an IT technician would make. So I'm just like, oh, she dates wealthy niggas. He's not poor. She just dates wealthy niggas. So when she says rich, she's saying wealthy, like 7-8 figures niggas. Well, 7 figures, are very, very high 6 figures. Like, she ain't trying to fuck with no nigga that's like very low 6 figures or right before the 6 figures, very high 5 figures. She ain't trying to fuck with that. And like, she's trying to see what it's like to date a nigga like that and all this other stuff. Like, where would you go? Like, niggas that make a high 6 figure, a high, 5 figures could still take you out on a date, girl. Like, she used to niggas that fly her out to places and do shit like that. And so I can't be mad at it. You used to them type of niggas. And then Janine gonna be like, oh, because she was like, what do you do after you eat the dinner that you cook at your house? Do you wash the dishes too? And she's like, Ava, you're not rich either. What are you talking about? And Ava's just like, do you want to compare bank accounts? So Ava's hustling all the time. So I won't say that she's wealthy, but I think she got a decent enough amount of money to have a dishwasher in her home. But like, she's also assuming that this nigga doesn't make enough money to have a dishwasher in his home when he makes $15,000 more than the regular teacher at that school would make. Like, and it's Philadelphia, so I don't think their rent prices are the same like they would be in like a New York or like a Los Angeles. So, girl, you need to chill the fuck out. That nigga make enough money with your money combined to support both of y'all and buy a house. Like, if you want to be with a wealthy nigga, then just be with a wealthy nigga. Don't be like 1 foot in, 1 foot out and shit. Like, either you gonna date this nigga that makes decent money and live a decent life with this motherfucker where you ain't necessarily gonna be wealthy, but you can still go on vacations and have a house, and maybe you could be wealthy. If he's a hustler, you a hustler, you both be flipping shit, you could be wealthy, the both of you together. Or you just gonna go date you a wealthy nigga and shut the fuck up, because she still got that other nigga's picture on her desk with his arm around her. And I'm just like, so now is that her brother? Because she's considering. No, because if he was just somebody she was fucking, why is his picture on your desk? So is that her brother? Was that her brother? Maybe that's her cousin. Maybe I missed it. Is that nigga on her desk in that picture like her cousin or her brother or some shit? Because she's contemplating dating this nigga when she got a picture of her and a nigga with his arm around her on her desk already. And when it's that status where you have that picture on your desk and people can see it and see you, that's not a we're just fucking type of situation. So maybe things will be explained more in the next episode. I don't know. But like, no, I just would not get it. I don't do hints. I don't do assumptions. I'm not doing any of that. You either tell me straight up that you like me, or I'm just going to ignore you, or just be cordial with you, or just be friendly. That's it. That's the 3 you going to get out of me. Ignore, cordial, or friendly, depending on how you approach me. No, because these niggas are crazy. There was 70,000 niggas on a fucking chat room talking about, and I heard that some of them niggas was as young as 10 years old. Little boys is out here being brainwashed by these grown ass men talking about people that they've sexually assaulted and shit. It may not be true, but that's what I heard, and I'm just like, you want me to just assume because somebody has a raspy voice and says something in a low voice that he wants to date me? He wants me to be his girlfriend. And girl, you got me fucked up. You need to say it out loud. I like you. I want to take you out on a date. And then may the odds be in your favor and I like you back. And then, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, okay? Because I'm like, Ava, I want me a wealthy nigga. No, and it's not because I'm a gold digger or nothing like that. It's just I have a fear of this world, and money makes you safe. And any route I can take to the money that does not involve me giving up my dignity, and I can still enjoy the company of the person that I'm with, I'm gonna take that fucking route, and we're gonna be safe. And I can still have my business and not have to worry about bills, and I can travel, and I can just be relaxed in the world, because people with money get to be a little bit more relaxed in the world than people that don't got money. And then I can still like help people and do things, and I can have like a surplus of his money to to help people. I'll be like, nigga, you a millionaire. Why haven't you built a homeless shelter? You go over there and you build a homeless shelter, bitch. You build some apartments for these people that ain't got no homes. That's a tax write-off anyway, so I don't know why you're not doing that. Every time we walk down the street, I'll be like, you should get that man on the ground $100. Like, what do you mean? You got $100? That's $1 to you. You get that man on the ground $100. What? You gotta reconstruct these niggas with money and shit, because they sitting around here millionaires and shit not helping people. And so I'm the bitch that's gonna come into your life. I'm gonna make you help motherfuckers, because you got this surplus and it's greedy. This is greedy. You don't need all this for yourself, okay? He's a greedy bitch. Go build a homeless shelter. Look at these little black kids in this neighborhood that needs a children's center for them. And you better vet the workers, because niggas is out here raping kids and shit. You better vet them so that they don't bother these kids and they teach them something. So yes, I would like, and Jesus knows this, a wealthy nigga, so I can feel safe in the world and do what I like to do and be unbothered and also help people. So... may the odds be ever in your favor. He has to be attractive and at least my height, 5'9". That's not bad. A taller 5'9", though, not the shorter side that's closer to 5'8". You got to be the taller side of 5'9", because you can tell the difference when you're 5'9" and you're closer to 5'8". You can, because I'm closer to 5'10". So that's not asking too much. Most of the niggas that are 5'9" and 5'10" and even 5'11" feel like they short. So that's not asking too much. Attractive. I need you to be attractive. I need you to be at least 5 years older, and I guess I'll accept at least 2 years younger. But like, so she need to either get with a wealthy nigga and leave this nigga alone, or she needs to put up or shut up. Like, it's not that serious. Like, he makes enough money for y'all to live. You make enough money for y'all to live, and you can live very safely with this nigga financially and not have to worry too much. And I think that's what most like women, I'm gonna talk about women that want a man that has money. I think that's where most of us are coming from. Like, we just want to feel safe in the world and be able to protect ourselves and have a nice space that we can go to that makes us feel safe. And like, yeah, we can do that to a certain degree for ourselves, but there's nothing like a 2-income household, and there's nothing like a 2-income household with a wealthy nigga. Because I'm still going to work. Like, I'm not a sit around and do nothing bitch. Like, I'll have days off and shit. Like, I take 3 days off a week, and I need to be doing something at least for 2 of them days. Like, I can't just lay in bed for 3 days and sleep and eat and do nothing. Like, it just some fire starts to burn up inside of me. I need to get the fuck up. So I still work. I still do shit. But I'm not about to be up in here, like, worrying about bills and shit, because he's wealthy. His money, my money will just put to the side to stack for, like, I don't know, I'll give it to some homeless people, or buy little knickknacks and cute things for him and shit like that. And just let it sit there, buy books and shit, random shit, and use it for Postmates to eat. But like, I'm not gonna be wishy-washy about it. Like, if God send me a nigga that's good enough financially, like, well, we got 2 incomes, so like, you good enough, I'm good enough. We together we make almost $500,000. What? Maybe a little less than that. Maybe a little less than that. But that's good enough to live. Like, I don't understand why niggas are so afraid to just be comfortable and be settled. Like, they get rich and they want more and more and more, and they never rest. They never relax. It's like this poverty trauma that's developed, so that especially when you get money, you just want more of it. Like, you just feel frantic that you're gonna lose all of it randomly and shit when you've made enough money to like support you and your children for generations to come. Like, that shit is dumb. I just want to be comfortable. I just want to be comfortable. Like, I don't need too much. I just need to be able to travel. I need to be able to travel. I need to be able to have a bathroom and a shower and a nice atmosphere to live in and a washer and dryer and a refrigerator and ability to buy food. And maybe an extra bedroom or two if one day I have kids and shit. But like, people are so afraid to just be content with their life and be comfortable and shit. Like, she's just scared that this nigga is like really poor. And I'm just like, girl, he's just not wealthy. That's all. Like, he got money though. Like, 15,000 off of what they make. Like, if they make 30,000, then it would be pretty low. I'd be like 50,000, but it would have to match up to what she makes. It depends on what she makes, but I don't think he's clocking 50,000 at an IT job. I think it's closer to 80,000 or maybe around 90, because usually entry level IT, they make a decent amount, at least 75 starting off, and he's been there for a minute working for the district. That's a big organization. He clocking 80, 90. That ain't bad. Like, I ain't mad at it. Like, you bring your money and we mix it with my money. We have enough money to be marginally safer in the world. We ain't safe enough to like build a bunker underneath the mansion, but we safe enough to, have a backup house to go to if a natural disaster happens. Girl, I've been traumatized from them fucking fires and shit, nigga. Like, I felt so bad because I was just like, I couldn't volunteer. I couldn't go and physically. I gave money to GoFundMe's and shit, but I could not physically go and volunteer. I suck up energy. I read energy and I suck up energy. I could feel the energy in the city when I left the house after the second day of the fire. It was just felt this pall of sadness and shit all on me. Sadness blanket, and I was just like, what the fuck? And I realized, like, I can't be out there with them people going through devastation and shit. Like, I'm just gonna get overstimulated from all the sadness, and then I'm gonna have a meltdown. I'm gonna have a straight, and it wouldn't be helpful for nobody. Would not be helpful. I'm traumatized in my own way. I didn't lose nothing, but I'm not going to invalidate vicarious trauma and seeing some crazy shit and how it can traumatize you and affect you and shit. And so I'm going to validate that. Does it compare to losing a house and not knowing how to rebuild your life? No, not even a little bit. But I'm still affected, and I just needed my routine. I just needed to keep doing my routine of things that make me feel calm and good. So I went to Disneyland like I do once a month, and I went and did my photography and did my stuff that just kept me stable, and I gave some money to some GoFundMe's and shit. Like, I couldn't be out there like that. You got to know yourself, and you got to know what you're able to like withstand and stuff. And like, I wouldn't have been able to be out there, going through people's donations, handing off shit to people that are going through devastation and crying and girl, just the thought of it, just thinking about going to one of them donation spots, it just started having me feeling like I was about to have a panic attack and shit. And I was just like, yeah, that's too much. I would get overstimulated. But there are warriors out here that are built fucking bad. I'm not built bad in that way. I had to be okay with that. I'm not built bad in that, lifting and throwing and interacting with a mob of like sad people and shit for hours at a time. And maybe it's because I give therapy 4 days out of the week, and like I be having 8-hour days, and I'll be doing that shit already, that I actively need my 3 days of vacation, of weekend time, to recharge from all the energy that I have sucked up over the 4 days of seeing people back to back. And most of them people was talking about that fire, and I was just like, oh God. So yeah, no, I wasn't on my after seeing all them people for 4 days and shit, and then coming off of that, trying to relax and recuperate off of that. About to jump in and go and do and be like I'm. But them people are warriors and they built bad, and God bless them for being able to go out there and get their hands dirty and help them people. And God bless them, because I didn't have it. I don't have that emotionally. I'm a sensitive soul. I am a sensitive being. And even the sensitive folks lost houses and they had to figure out how to pull it together. And it's like, if I don't have to figure it out, I'm not going to. No, because that was all my whole 20s, trying to figure out my life and figure out what am I going to do, hitting rock bottom, coming back up. And girl, the thought of going back to that for any reason, unless I absolutely have to, I almost had a panic attack thinking, I was just like, oh God, I can't do it. And I was like, am I a bad person? And I was like, no, you're just traumatized. You're just traumatized by all that shit that you saw and all the horrible devastation, and then people losing their houses, and then black folks having to rebuild and figure their lives out. And it's going to take generations before they get their shit back together to where they can feel safe in the world again. It's horrible. And I just, no, it wasn't me. I can't. And you gotta know yourself. You gotta know yourself and know when you're just too sensitive for some shit. And if you don't absolutely have to, you're not going to. And that'll make you a bad person, as long as you don't be like lording it over people like, oh, see, I still have a house. Like, what? Going to hell. I think there are certain things where you can just go to hell for. Like, you just, like what they doing over there to them babies in Palestine. Like, I don't think you can come back from that, because you took a life. A life can't be brought back. So you can't fix that. You can't, use that the euphemism. You ball up a piece of paper and then you stretch it out. The paper is still the paper, but now you got the wrinkles and you can't get the wrinkles out. No, the paper is disintegrated and shit, nigga. Like, you ain't even got a wrinkled page no more and shit. And there are certain things that you just go to hell for. Like, you will. And I was thinking about those people. Like, I flipped it. Those people that were like making up that they were in the fire and making GoFundMes and shit. And I was really thinking about it. I was like, what if we just as a people got together? We would really have to be unified to do this. But basically just give ourselves money through GoFundMe. Just support our communities through to really do that, to get together as a community and then just recirculate the money on the GoFundMe in our communities. Or we can make a black GoFundMe, because once GoFundMe finds out that you're doing shit like that, they like to shut your shit off and take your money that you made. So, make a black people or a people of color GoFundMe, and you just create groups where you're just recirculating money in your communities. Just to do it, just cause. Like, you give $20 a week or something, depending on how much you make and how much you want to give or some shit like that. And I was just like, I flipped it. I was just like, no, it's not right for them to pretend to be fire victims just to get money off of GoFundMe. But if we were doing this honestly and as a community, we literally would not need the tax system that we have now. We wouldn't need the government. We would just be, even if it was just small communities of people getting together to recirculate the money they make back into the GoFundMe for the community, so that people in the community can get shit like groceries and pay for childcare. And I was just like, what if we did that? But we would really have to like love ourselves and love our people enough to do some shit like that. And we would have to really not involve white people. Like, white people can do that shit. Like I said, small communities grow into larger communities and they give money to each other. So I feel like it would have to start off with like people from the same communities. And then as it got bigger, then you can start adding people in from other communities once you see how they interact within their own situation. And then you can be like, okay, they're interacting in a decent way with each other. Maybe we can invite them to this space to give money to this space. Or you can be like, oh no, they over there like falling apart. Niggas is stealing and maiming and that's why we didn't let them folks sit on this bitch. You got the Latino GoFundMe, and you got the Asian one, and you got the black folks one and shit like that. Maybe you separated by diaspora, or we can all just be together and support each other regardless of where we're from in the diaspora, because we're all basically the same. We all come from Africa. I don't care what you're talking about. My ancestry DNA said I was all West African, and when I googled the countries I was from, all them people look like my aunties and uncles and cousins and shit. So no, we're all black people. And so, if we could come together as a community, that would be beautiful. Who knows what'll happen in the future, because we have the tools at our hands to literally fund ourselves and support ourselves. Where we just greedy, and we've internalized this white supremacy rhetoric of crabs in the barrel, power and control. Whoever has the most is the best, and blah 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 blah. And it's just like, if we really let that go and really just were communal again, there would be Wakandas everywhere. It would be magical. And all you just got to do is not be greedy. Just not be greedy. Like, just be comfortable. Just be comfortable where you're at. Like, if you make enough to have shelter and for you and your family, and to not be struggling, and to be able to have leisure time and travel and shit like that, like, that's the goal. Just get there. And then if extra comes to get you somewhere else, that's great. But if it doesn't, just get there. And then, we would just be such a better fucking place. This has always been my goal. Just get to the place where I can at least just buy a house and just chill and have enough money to travel and just do stuff and have leisure time. That's it. And take care of some kids one day. That's it. Like, I've never dreamed of having more than that. But if I do, because, like, I don't want a mansion. I don't want to be in no big ass house with 11 rooms and shit. I believe in ghosts. While I'm in the East Wing, I'm hearing shit in the West Wing, and ain't nobody over in the West Wing. So what the fuck am I hearing? I need to know where the spaces are in the house and what's going on in the house. And big ass mansiony houses don't feel cozy a lot of the time, and they feel cold and drafty and shit. So I like cozy and shit, so, like, but I do want to have a Korean spa under my house, like, and maybe a bunker. Like, if you have enough land, you could do that, like, and have like a decent, just mid-sized house on top of that shit. Upstairs, downstairs, maybe like 5 bedrooms and shit. Some simple shit. No, because if you have kids and shit, like, if I have 3 kids and it's me and the nigga together, like, that's still an extra bedroom to, like, make it to an office or a gym or some shit. Like, and then down in the basement is the Korean spa situation. It's magical. Saunas, hot tubs, magical. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but anyways, that was my review. Let me know what you think. More Abbott Elementary next week. I might surprise you with a double feature. It depends on, because I was going to do a double feature today, but then I got home and I was tired, so I don't know. I don't know what you want from me. I tried to make this episode as entertaining as possible and shit. I hope niggas don't think I'm telling y'all that the old people on this show is smelly. I'm not. That was just like an example. These older people on the show are smelly. Like, that was just an example of, like, what goes when your flexibility goes. Like, and that's like a pretty important thing, to have good hygiene and bathe regularly and shit like that. Like, that's pretty important. Like, you can't even lift your foot up and scrub it no more because your knee is fucked up. Like, that means the bottom of your feet don't get cleaned properly. Like, that's what I mean. Like, that is an important situation. So, that be the first shit to go sometimes. And I'm just like, oh God. Oh, like, they be standing there for 12-hour days and shit, and they, like, older. I hope they get a lot of naps in during the day. Like, they don't have to be really just talking a lot and doing a lot of stuff during the day, because you have to have, like, some sort of stand, especially in a show like that where you might be just standing there. Like, standing is horrible for your body. Standing and sitting for too long, even laying down. Stagnancy is horrible for your body. Like, you need to be moving your joints and ligaments. Your muscles need to be burning in order for it to keep that fluidity in it. If you were just, that's why, like, when people are paralyzed, they need to have their muscles constantly moved and stuff, so that they don't, like, turn soft or whatever happens when you don't work the muscles out in a paralyzed person's body. But it's probably something really horrible. So Like you need to move that shit, and to be standing there and you older, and I don't like it. So a part of me is just kind of like, they can rest, they can chill out, you know it is what it is. Like, I wouldn't want to be, older and like standing somewhere for 12 hours of shit, repeating the same lines 100 million times. Girl, you got me fucked up. The repetitiveness, the stagnancy, the long hours. That sounds horrible. Like, I would start to hate art. That's why I stopped doing photography for people. I was doing photography for people in my 20s, and I literally started to hate it. I couldn't do what I wanted to do, and I started to hate it so much that it started to show in what I was doing. Like, I didn't try as hard to make it nice. I did that shit on purpose. I didn't care. I didn't like I was being treated. I am never doing that shit for people ever again. Like, no, you gotta pay me $1 million off top. But it's just photography. I don't give a fuck. Oh, nigga, I'm comfortable and shit. Like, you ain't about to stress me the fuck out. You gonna stress me out? You gonna pay me? You gonna pay me? You gonna pay me a wage that makes me able to live for the rest of my life without ever having to work again if I do my money right and not have this on one and done, nigga. Like, girl, never again. Tell me what to do with your evil ass energies and shit hovering all over my fucking art and ruining it. Shit, like, no, ma'am, no. These entertainment motherfuckers be having evil energies and shit because they be greedy and shit, and then they want to try to control your art and tell you how to do it, and what to do with it, and how to change it and flip it around and make it this. Oh no, I'm not doing that. Collaboration is important. Community, it is important, but there are certain things that I'm going to say no to, and I still deserve to have community, even if I say no to shit. That community should respect and care about me enough to respect and care about my fucking boundaries. What? Like, no, like, like, I'm not against like advice or positive criticisms or whatever, but when you see that I don't care, that means that the advice is over. Not, no, but this, no, I said thank you. Okay, that's okay. I'll think about that, and then I that means it's over. No, niggas want to push and press and prod, and like, if I'm actually engaged with you and your advice, I'm going to be asking you more questions and trying to understand and trying to learn, and we're mutually engaging back and forth and shit, nigga. Not, oh, I said thank you and I was done, and you keep talking. No, because now I'm pissed off. No, because now it feels like you trying to tell me what to do with my shit. Oh, God. And then I got to, like, because I be dissociating and freezing, and thank you, yeah. And I be doing that shit, and niggas think I'm soft and shit because but I'm trying really hard to put the mask on that will make you, be calm, because inside is a roiling lava-filled volcano of pissed offness, and I am trying to hold that back because for the most part, people like that aren't trying to be malicious, and I try to make space for that as much as possible, but don't push me too hard, because I don't need your fucking advice. Maybe your life lessons, like shit you learned during life and shit like that, but I don't need your fucking advice. If I've made it clear that I don't need your fucking advice, I don't need you to keep pressuring me to take your advice. The niggas that be like having titles and they be like high up and shit like that, they hate that shit about me, because they look all shocked when I don't give a fuck about what they do. I'm like, I'm not giving them the proper respect and bowing down because I don't care. You've shown me that you are invasive and you don't respect boundaries. Immediately, you're not a decent person to me. I'll be nice and cordial still, but like in my mind, I'm like, oh God, how many exits are in this room? Okay, I could say I had to go to the bathroom and then take the exit that's by and just leave this whole motherfucker right now. And a lot of times that's what I'll do, because it is, if you keep continuing to stop me, God, niggas be pushing and pushing, trying to get their opinions on you and shit when you don't want it. Oh God, the monster might come out, but that hasn't happened yet. Usually, like a quick thank you and stuff is enough. It hasn't happened yet. Maybe it's because I'm a big bitch. Niggas think I can fight like that. I don't know. I probably can. Like, I'm gonna fight to kill though, because I have trauma and I'm gonna black out and do some shit that I was not prepared to do. But yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't like when you force yourself, bombardment. Like, oh God, now I have your anxious energy affecting my anxious energy, and I just So no, that's why I like to do my own art myself and have fun with it and shit. Like, I would hate to be in a situation where I couldn't just have fun with it and shit, and I had to like do what other people told me to do, unless I'm really just connected to these folks' vision, and it is like the most amazing vision that I ever did see, and we're all connected mentally and shit, and it's a real community, and we all like respect each other and our stuff, and we all give each other a chance to pour into the shit. How often does that happen? So I understand, and it could be that they are a real community and things like that too. She just, Barbara and Mr. Johnson just older and shit, and you want to keep doing shit because it's fun and you have a real community and shit, but like I hope they at least come on for like a cameo or two. Like, so horrible. I just want them to sit on the beach in a little tiki house and just relax in the sunshine. It's magical. That's what I want for them. I'm not gonna be selfish like I was with Issa, and I was like, you need to come back and make a movie, an insecure movie, Issa. Like, what's you got that Keke Palmer and SZA movie though. I'm gonna watch that. That's on the list. A lot of things are on the list. But anyways, I'm gonna get off of here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's probably a little bit longer than I had expected it to be, but whatever. I spin a good yarn. I don't care what nobody says. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Therapist Sips and Reviews, and later days.